This is WFYI News Now. It's January 8th, and I'm Abriana Herron. On today's show, a flock of turkeys in eastern Indiana tests positive for bird flu. Indiana is among the worst states for access to childcare, and some lawmakers want to change that with more funding. And the 2025 session of the Indiana General Assembly kicks off Wednesday. The 4-month-long session will include a new state budget.
What we used to do is say we want to give K-12, X percent increase, and then we kind of work from there. Unfortunately, this year it's kind of almost like we have to look at Medicaid and work backwards and see what we have left.
Those stories coming up. But first, Mayor Joe Hogsett says it may take the city of Indianapolis up to a week to clear all roads of snow after the winter storm. At a press conference Tuesday morning, Hogsett says teams are trying to clear connector roads, but most residential roads are still untouched.
It might have been a little bit slippery, but all the major thoroughfares allowed people to go from place to place. Today, we are focused on connector roads. And as soon as major thoroughfares, connector roads are cleared, then we will start on residential clearing. This is going to take us an entire week.
Some areas of Indiana got up to 10 inches of snow during the winter storm this weekend. A flock of turkeys in eastern Indiana has tested positive for H5N1, or bird flu. WFYI's Ben Thorpe reports that the farm on the border of Ohio is the first positive case in the state since February of 2024.
The Indiana State Board of Animal Health has described the current bird flu outbreak as the United States' largest animal health emergency in history. Concerns about the virus have been mounting. Last year, bird flu was found in dairy cattle for the first time. So far, the virus has not been found in Indiana cattle. And earlier this week, a Louisiana man became the first person to die of bird flu in the U.S. Scientists have raised concerns that unchecked spread among cows could potentially make the virus contagious and deadly in humans. The commercial turkey operation impacted by the virus in Indiana has been quarantined, and portions of Jay and Adams counties are under surveillance. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says the risk to the public from the virus is still considered to be low. I'm Ben Thorpe.
Indiana is among the worst states for access to childcare, and some lawmakers want to allocate more funding in the state budget to better support the industry and the Hoosiers who rely on it. Indiana Public Broadcasting's Tamoria Cunningham reports House Democrats say it's a key priority in the upcoming legislative session.
Representative Carrie Hamilton, an Indianapolis Democrat, says child care deserts across the state pose a challenge for working parents. There are currently 780 licensed child care centers in the state and more than 2,000 licensed home care providers. But Hamilton says it's not enough to meet the need for Hoosiers across the state, something she wants to change this session.
So what we would like to do is maximize that federal support and look at a range of policies that would help expand access to child care across Indiana.
Hamilton says this includes creating access to affordable child care in every county and increasing wages for child care workers. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Tamoria Cunningham.
And for our final story today, the 2025 session of the Indiana General Assembly kicks off today. Indiana Public Broadcasting's Brandon Smith reports the roughly 4-month-long session will include a new state budget.
More than 1,000 pieces of legislation will be filed, and likely about a quarter of them will become law in the 2025 session. The most significant will be House Bill 1001, the new 2-year state budget. Putting that budget together will be more challenging this year than it's been for a while, as state revenues are projected to be much tighter. Senate fiscal leader Ryan Mishler says growth in Medicaid spending needs will force lawmakers to change how they build the budget.
What we used to do is say we want to give K-12, X percent increase, and then we kind of work from there. Unfortunately, this year it's kind of almost like we have to look at Medicaid and work backwards and see what we have left.
The 2025 session must end by April 29th. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Brandon Smith at the State House.
And that's all for today's episode of WFYI News Now. Our podcast is produced by Drew Daudelin and Zach Bundy, with support from the news team at WFYI and public media journalists across the state. Our news director is Sarah Neal-Estes. Kendall Antron produced our music. And I'm your host, Abriana Herron. If you like today's episode, remember to subscribe and share, and follow WFYI on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube to check in on our newsroom throughout the day. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.